Welcome back. My name is Nick, and I have Kyle here with me. Pecos with a 0 on Instagram. Go follow him. He's a super talented artist. And we're back doing more deep dives on his dark material, Lord Asriel style, or as Kyle calls him, Azzy Dog. And just so you know, we've been covering...
Or Funkle Asriel.
Or Funkle Asriel. We've been covering his dark materials here since the first season, and we do book dives and comparisons. We do deep dives on Mulefa, Galavespians, Land of the Dead, to the Harpies, to the characters. I mean, John Perry, Marissa Coulter, you name it, we've been covering. Mary Malone, we've been covering everyone here. And tonight we are doing Lord Asriel, a huge character, especially in the third book. Actually, his biggest role is probably in the third book. Yeah. We're going to break down his before, his after, and a little bit of comparisons. Kyle, take it away.
All right. Well, I want to begin by giving this description from the book. Lord Asriel was a tall man with powerful shoulders, a fierce, dark face, and eyes that seemed to flash and glitter with savage laughter. It was a face to be dominated by or to fight, never a face to patronize or pity. All his movements were large and perfectly balanced, like those of a wild animal. And when he appeared in a room like this, he seemed a wild animal held in a cage too small for it. Yeah, so very imposing character.
Yeah, someone to take on God.
Yes, sounds like someone to take on God or the authority. So, a little bit of his biography leading up to the beginning of the books and the show. So, in 1953, the year my dad was born, there were floods in the Fens. So, oh wait, this isn't when he was born. This is just a thing that happened. But that was when my dad was born, in 1953. So Lord Asriel is a bit older. But yeah, okay, yeah. So in 1953, there were floods in the Fens. So Asriel saved the life of 2 Egyptian children, Rud and Nelly Koopman, by diving into the water. So that's about it as far as his childhood. In Asriel's adulthood, just moving right along. In Asriel's adulthood, he was a sitting member of the British Parliament.
Wow.
Where he defeated the Watercourse Bill. He also saved a man named Sam Broekman from a person of Turkish descent. So, all right, that's cool. I guess, when I was reading that, where he defeated the Watercourse Bill, I'm like, yes, boring politics, perfect, But yeah, and then Lord Asriel was a highly respected member of the British aristocracy, and of course, this is spelled British, Brytish, right? Aristocracy. He was an explorer and did work in experimental theology, very much like Marissa Coulter, through which he acquired much power, land, and money. This all changed when he had an affair with Marissa Coulter, which resulted in a child in 1985, that being Lyra. Yep. Asriel hid the child in one of his own estates, trusting her to Ma Costa and Marissa pretended the baby had died. So, great. Father hides their daughter for shame, and Marissa pretends you don't even exist. Cool. However, Marissa's husband, Edward Coulter, came after Asriel. Now, this, of course, if you guys have seen some of our other videos, yes, this has overlap with Marissa's timeline as well, because this is where their stories intersect. However, Marissa's husband, Edward Coulter, came after Asriel. So he upturned the cottage looking for the baby before starting towards the main estate. So just as he was about to open the closet where Ma Costa was hiding with Lyra, Asriel challenged Edward to a duel. So Edward had a gun, which he shot, missing. Asriel took it off him before turning it on Edward, shooting and killing him. So now, as a consequence, Asriel was taken to court and subsequently lost most of his money and property, and along with it, his power for killing a man, as even in self-defense, Edward was revenging his wife. So kind of some crazy laws going on there. But yeah, with these events, Lyra was abandoned by her mother and her father, wasn't allowed to go within 50 miles of her, and so Lyra was eventually sent to a convent by the court, And however, since Asriel despised the Holy Church, he would take Lyra to Jordan College with him instead in 1986. So Malcolm Polstead, who worked at the Trout Inn, opposite to the priory in which Lyra was being kept, took Lyra in his canoe to Lord Asriel, who was in London during the floods. So at Jordan, he was raised by Lord. Oh, sorry. At Jordan, she was raised by Lord Asriel as his niece.
Yep.
So this is where
Funkle.
the Funkle stuff starts coming into play. And then Asriel, pretending to go and visit the king of Lapland, went on an expedition to the north in which he took photograms of dust and of Chitagaze, a city in another world. So seen through the aurora. So that's that city they see when he's in the room with the Jordan College scholars. It would be here where he would also meet the explorer known as Stanislaus Groom, aka Joe Parry, aka John Perry.
John Perry, aka the shaman.
The shaman. And then a little bit about his. So that kind of takes us up to the beginning of the books, because then after that expedition, he comes back and he reviews his findings with the scholars at Jordan College,
where they try to poison him.
Peeks in. Yep, where they try to poison him. That's right. And then thus begins the plot of the Golden Compass. And so a little bit of his personality and traits. So, Asriel had a way of dominating a situation or place. So with his immense power and knowledge. So he was able to trick and persuade Iofur Raknison, showing he could be influential and very clever. In being able to trick a Panzerbjorn, which is pretty tough.
Except for that one, I feel like anyone could trick.
That's true. So that's another thing about Iofur Raknison. If we ever did a character thing on him, he was trying to be more human.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And it's argued that in his pursuit of being more human, a lot of his bare ways in terms of discerning what was the truth was kind of lost, right? But yeah, so and then of course, Lord Asriel, he's able to make the calculation that's able to open up a trans-dimensional gate to another world. He's pretty intelligent, right? Yeah. So,
and he can bring multiple worlds together to form an army.
Exactly. Yeah. That takes some chutzpah, some intelligence.
To also gain respect by multiple angels and different cultures too and stuff like that. I mean, definitely has some kind of charisma about him.
Yeah. Heck, I can't even get past Spanish and Duolingo, so my hat's off to him. So a little bit about his demon, Stelmaria, right? So she took the shape of a female snow leopard. So very much like a reflection of Lord Asriel, right? Like he's like this. He how he's described, at least when we were at the beginning, like he sounds like a big predatory cat.
Yeah.
And Stelmaria, she was quiet and strong and highly intelligent. So she had these piercing green eyes, right? Her dominance of Roger Parslow's demon, Celcilia, was crucial to Asriel's success in breaking through the Aurora to Chitagaze, and her strength was further demonstrated in the final battle with Metatron, where both she and Asriel, along with Marissa Coulter and her demon, met their ends in the abyss.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's a snow leopard. It's going to be pretty heavy, so that's good. It makes sense.
Yes.
And so that's all there is on.
And there's
Lord
really
Asriel.
not much to his character. I mean, he has a bigger part in book 3 because that's when he's in charge of the armies. They're looking for Lyra. He doesn't want to look for Lyra. He changes his mind and he's like, no, let's not. No, let's do this. So he's always flip-flopping when it comes to Lyra, and not that much, but over-exaggerated the flip-floppiness. But one thing though that they did change was they gave him more backstory in the show. They added more to his character because we don't know in the books the plans that go on for the war. There's no special speech for the war. We kind of just enter the war in chaos, and then,
it's just oh hey, they're doing stuff.
Exactly. Then we cut to him and Metatron where they battle to their death, and spoilers. But other than that, he's more involved in that book than all the other books, but he's really not even that involved. He's just the leader that can bring everyone together. I mean, obviously, yes, he gives the Galavespian orders to stay with Lyra and Will, which actually really helps. I mean, if that was the only decision he made other than sacrificing himself at the end, like that was such a good decision because the Galavespians helped out so much with Lyra and Will's path and journey through the land of the dead and everything like that. Very smart guy. Even predicting what Mrs. Coulter would do when she would leave and stuff like that too. Like he almost was like plans up ahead, like, you know, oh, go let her do that. You know, like in the books, it's different in the show a little bit, the way their relationship plays out. But in the books, you can really tell he was like a step ahead of her when she would like, he was like, oh no, let him, you know, let her do this. Lord Roke hop in there. Cause you know, he kind of saw what was going on and stuff like that. So he's a really cool character in the books. Yeah. I thought they did a great job in the show too. I really like the casting. Oh my gosh, his name, the actor's name.
Let me look it up.
Oh my gosh,
well, we can
know it. It's Magneto. James McAvoy.
It's not Magneto. It's
James
Professor
McAvoy.
X. It's Professor
oh yes,
X.
James McAvoy. James McAvoy. Is that right?
And let's not forget that I would say even a superior casting choice for Lord Asriel was in the movie Daniel Craig.
Oh, Daniel Craig.
He played Lord Asriel.
And it was a bummer because that's what's so good about this series too. They actually finished the story. And like you can have your complaints about Mulefa. They went there. They had Mulefa. Did they do the Galavespians right? No, but they at least put a Galavespian in there. Like you got to see some of the crazy stuff that goes down in book 3, which would probably never make it on film. Like it's even crazier than like Return of the King stuff. Like Army of the Dead tried the Land of the Dead with harpies like swarming around it and stuff like that. So like the ideas are so out there and stuff. So it was just really cool. They finished it. I'm super glad. We really enjoyed breaking down this series from all the different deep dives and all that other stuff. We're going to be covering other series coming up here. We're going to be doing some intense deep dives into Dune and also Severance. And I've also been talking with Taylor about doing some Succession deep dives too, because season 4 of Succession is coming out on HBO Max. So yes, most of that stuff's on HBO Max that we watch, but we are starting to watch other stuff. We did watch Willow. We're letting it sit before we talk about Willow because we have some opinions on Willow.
We're letting it simmer like a good stew.
Comment down below other shows you'd like us to cover. The Last of Us is on my list. I've been traveling a lot for work and stuff, so I haven't been able to really sit down after the show's airs, but it's on my list.
Been busy.
Yeah. And if you go to Instagram, Pecos with a 0, go follow Kyle. Let him know how much you appreciate his deep dives. He does a lot of the research that goes into this and he presents it. He does such a good job. He's excellent at pronouncing things too. He's the man. Go comment on his Instagram. And if you go to AsArt.space, you can find our cool shirts and stuff that Kyle helps design some of too. Right now I have the Audi shirt on for Severance. If you're an Innie or an Audi, comment down below. If you get this far, that's amazing. And we'll see you on the next AsArt. Wait, no, Lord Asriel doesn't laugh like that.
Still very maniacal. I love it.
As he pants.